How do you review a remake of a game that originally came out 15 years ago? Well, step one is to put aside your rose-colored glasses, because the game industry has changed a lot in the time since Star Fox 64's release. Never has it been more apparent than when you pop Star Fox 64 3D into your 3DS and beat the game in under an hour. Now, passing judgment on Star Fox 64 3D itself is by no means a difficult task. This is a classic game that's loved by countless people around the world, so much that people have been begging for a proper sequel for years. The 3DS remake doesn't make any big changes. This is still the same game that you put hours into on the Nintendo 64, just with a pretty substantial makeover that gives the game a much needed new paint job. The revamped visuals look great, especially the space scenes, and the 3D effect only adds to the fun of seeing a classic with a new lease on life. I find myself being more and more impressed by Nintendo's use of 3D on this system, and this is one of their best efforts in that department. None of the voice acting work was touched, which I think was a wise decision. The original voices are terrible and silly, but they're no doubt memorable, and they've become so iconic that tampering with them would have been a crime. The only thing I think could have used a little more attention would be the characters. They're still just weird looking heads with flapping mouths, and it looks a little out of place amongst all the updates to the graphics and sound. The problem with Star Fox 64 3D is a problem that's inherent with all these HD remakes, remixes, revamps, what have you, and this game specifically exemplifies this. You don't need me to tell you that this is an awesome game and that the gameplay still holds up well. The real question is it worth paying $40 for an old game that follows very old video game paradigms? Like I said, playing through this game on any of the branching story paths takes only about an hour. If Star Fox were released today, it would be maligned for being very light on content. A 1 hour story just doesn't cut it these days, with or without branching paths, and especially not for $40. The 3DS remake doesn't add very much of anything to the meat of the game either. You still have story mode, of course, as well as a score attack mode where you can choose any of the stages at will to play for the high score. There's also battle mode that's available via download play only, which is a little disappointing, but honestly, I can't really imagine myself playing battle mode unless my opponents are physically around me, which adds to the competition. Sure, they added motion controls, but trust me, Star Fox is not made for this type of control. It just doesn't feel right and throws you way out of the 3D window. But the point is, this remake is at its most basic, purely Star Fox 64 with a neato 3D facade. So, is it worth $40 for Star Fox 64 3D? For me, the answer is no. This version doesn't do enough to deviate itself from the original. If they'd offer something a little bit more, something that's not available in the 64 version, then maybe I'd say it's worth it, but I have a Nintendo 64. I have Star Fox 64. If I want to play Star Fox 64 3D, then I'll just pop in the 64 version, squint my eyes, and then, bam, I'm playing the same game. And I saved $40. Bottom line, if you want Star Fox and you don't already have it, then this may be worth it to you, but I can't recommend this to anyone who already owns and has played the hell out of the original. The new version just doesn't offer enough new features to justify the price. Be sure to check out thegameheroes.com for more reviews, podcasts, awesome forums, and general video game grab-ass. Thanks for watching, I'm Classy Man, see you next time.